But Bud Crawford really wants to fight Canelo. So, there's a lot of guys that want to fight Canelo. A lot of guys that want to fight Gervonta Davis. That's what happens when you're the faces of boxing. Now, I made a video about Terence Crawford. Him and his team, they're insistent on a fight with Canelo Alvarez. They're trying to state their case. Crawford has ran to Turkey, Al-Sheikh of Riyadh season, and he believes he is the one that should get the Canelo fight. Check out my first video. I don't agree with that. It's not the level of fight that I think people believe it is. What do I mean? Well, here's the thing. You have to go off of what's been shown. And Terence Crawford, he doesn't have any pay-per-views that were over 1 million on his own. So the star power that he believes he has, I don't really know that that's the case, right? I don't know that at all, because there's nothing that's been unearthed to prove that, right? Your best numbers was with Errol Spence, and that didn't crack 1 million in terms of pay-per-view buys. Meanwhile, a real star like Gervonta Davis, him and Ryan Garcia, they did over 1 million in today's, streaming industry, right? So it's so funny to me. You got people who are trying to convince me. Now, I tell you, I love my job. The beauty of being a YouTuber and telling my thoughts, this is YouTube. This is not TogetherTube or WeTube. This is YouTube, where you can start a channel, where you can become the star. And it's so funny that you have all these people in the comment section. And don't get me wrong, a lot of people understand it. They get the content. It resonates with them. But you got some people who they leave comments as if they're going to shape and shift and change my opinion on what I want to see. This is the beauty of having your own channel and your own platform. I'm telling you what I like. People are like, no, it's a great fight, Ego. That's what you think. I don't really need to see it. That's my opinion. And you guys aren't going to change the programming or switch my positioning, especially the comments that some of y'all leave, because you don't enlighten me. You're not telling me anything that I don't know. Ego, he deserves it. I mean, whatever. The reality is Crawford is not in the same weight class, period. If you want to convince me, I told you the way to go about it. Fight David Benavidez. Fight Diego Pacheco. Show me you're a serious contender for anybody that's a top guy at 168, like a Benavidez, like a Morale, David Morrell, or Pacheco or somebody, and then maybe I'll consider it. You know what I mean? But we'll get into it. Crawford, he feels he can, just get the Willy Wonka golden ticket to Canelo Alvarez. And I just don't understand it. Like I said, you're not going to convince me. That's like a person saying, oh, but my favorite pizza is salami and anchovies. Good for you. I don't give a fuck. Like, what does that have to do with me if your favorite pizza is salami and anchovies? I don't want that. That's what you want. So, again, if you like Crawford versus Canelo, start you a YouTube and you can talk about that all day. I'm telling you my opinion. It doesn't make sense, which is what I said from the beginning.
You feel me?
So we're going to get into Bud Crawford. He posted this, pretty much begging for the Canelo fight. See?
Yeah. You're here at the spear. You feel me?
He says spear? It's called sphere. Whatever.
nice in here. Yo, Turkey, tell the fans what we doing next.
We want financials.
Tell them we going for Canelo next.
Yes. Let's go. Canelo, come on.
Hey, yo, like what is it, bro? This, I'm telling you, this reeks of desperation. I don't know if he's like, I guess he's trying to listen to the telecast, and then like Crawford's like, yo, Turkey, tell him what we doing next. And he's like, yo, Canelo, let's go. Like, bro, Canelo literally down the street just fought Edgar Berlanga. Turkey and Canelo have publicly been at odds where they haven't even seemingly got along. And he's talking about let's go like there's this offer that's been made. That's not how business works.
This thing nice in here. Yo, Turkey, tell the fans what we doing next.
We want financials.
Tell them we going for Canelo next.
Yes. Let's go. Canelo, come on.
You heard it from him.
We are ready.
We?
Hey. Just put me in the game, coach. Just put me in the game. Canelo Crawford, the biggest fight in boxing.
That's not true.
Gotta get ready for the main event, y'all. But we stay ready, though. We stay ready. That way we don't gotta get ready. Look at that. Look at that. That's nice. What's up, champ?
See?
No problem. Yep, it went 12.
There you have it. So that's Terence Crawford. Like, there's, first of all, he went live. There's little energy in that whole video. Again, Crawford is a great fighter, but he's not going to give you like the promotional, showy showmanship stuff. Like even Edgar Berlanga brought that to the Canelo fight. He was talking his talk. He was a good dance partner in terms of selling of the fight and making himself the heel character or the villain. Terence Crawford, he's calling for Canelo, and he's just like blah, like, yeah, we ready. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Put me in the game, coach. That's not gonna hype anyone up. And I've already went over it. He just said that a fight with him and Canelo is the biggest fight in boxing. That's cap. Gervonta Davis versus certain people would be bigger fights. Like Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia, part 2 would be bigger than Canelo versus Crawford. Or if we're using Canelo as the common denominator, him fighting David Benavidez, that is the fight that makes more sense. Both guys are in or around the same division, at least have competed at 168. Crawford had one fight at 154, and, you know, he did his thing. He won the fight with Israel Madrimov, but it did not send shockwaves through the circuitry of boxing, and it was not that type of performance. It was like a good high-level chess match with a guy with 11 fights, and he came out on the winning side. But make no mistake about it, there are a lot of people that thought the fight was close, could have been a draw. Some people even had Madrimov winning, right? And I don't want to cry over spilt milk. I'm fine with Crawford winning the Madrimov fight. But the point I am making is that it was not the type of performances that, oh, this is a Star is Born. This is not, like, you could look at Crawford versus Errol Spence and say that's a Star is Born type of performance. Even though I think Errol Spence had some issues leading up to the fight, we can't take away, none of that has anything to do with Crawford. He was ready, he showed up, and he cashed in the lottery ticket. So it's funny to me, I think that Terence Crawford, his delivery and his ideology of getting the Canelo fight, it just seems jaded. Like he believes that he can run off to Turkey and Turkey would just get this done. I don't necessarily see it. Post-fight, Canelo Alvarez, he didn't even answer the question about Terence Crawford. He said no comment. When they said, hey, Crawford called you out, what do you think? Right? So to me, this is looking desperate from Terence Crawford to fixate on one fight and one fight only, when if you could fight as high as 168, there's plenty of fight. Diego Pacheco would be a good fight. David Morrell could probably still make 168, or Benavidez, who called you out. You're only fixating on one person. Or at 160, you got guys like Lara, Carlos Adames, right? 54, you got a ton of names like Vergil Ortiz, you know, possibly a Boots fight, Jaron Ennis. And to me, it seems like Crawford believes it's already in the can. I've done enough in these prior weight classes and throughout my journey where I should be able to cut in the line and just get straight to the Canelo bag. Everybody wants a Canelo fight. Anybody who's in or around Canelo's division would probably love to have a Canelo fight. But the business got to make sense. And I don't know what Crawford's relationship is with PBC. Post-fight, Canelo also said that he's going to spend time with his family after his victory with Berlanga, and then he's going to get with his team, Al Heyman and Louis de Cubas Jr., and figure out what his next move is. So far, so good. It appears that Canelo has developed a strong relationship with the PBC to the point where the business is aligning. He seems satisfied. They're working with him, producing the events that he's comfortable with or whatever, and that could continue. So again, how is this going to even work? That's why I say it reeks of desperation. How is this going to work if Turkey and PBC, they haven't put on a bunch of fights? They put on one fight, Pitbull Cruz versus El Rayo. But that was two PBC fighters, if you pay attention. This wasn't like Jared Big Baby Anderson, the top-ranked fighter, and a UK fighter that's with Boxer. The only fight on that Crawford Madrimov card that was in-house was the PBC fight. That made sense because the winner, whether it been El Rayo or Pitbull, would go back to PBC as the winner. So smart play by PBC. Plus, like I've said, the seemingly sour relationship with Turkey and Canelo, I just don't see it. And I feel like Crawford, to be so single-minded on the Canelo fight, I see the play. It's like you want one last hurrah to try to prove yourself, and you want to stamp that ticket, etch your name in history. So you want to, in essence, kind of try to steal a victory. And I'm saying steal loosely. I'm not saying like a Canelo fight would be an easy fight, but I think Crawford knows he is not a 168 pounder. So the guy, you're just going to shoot for the stars and then hope you get a Canelo fight, because you probably view Canelo as the biggest bag, rightfully so, and the most probably winnable scenario in your mind, because Canelo, he's showing signs of fading, right? He's the shortest out of like the Pachecos and David Benavidez's and David Morrell. He's not like much younger than Canelo, right? Like, so he's not like a Diego Pacheco age or something like that. So I see the play. I feel like Crawford, he feels like I'm Terence Crawford and I've done so much. Just give me the fight, give me what I want. But it seldom works like that. Again, he ran over to Turkey in the UFC event at the Sphere, and they didn't even know who he was. They put Kendrick Lamar on the screen, and you're screaming in the same breath. They misidentified you and thought you were K-Dot from Compton. You look nothing alike, you other than being black with twisties in your hair. Like, there's no real similarity. And you ran over to that event. They didn't even classify you or like identify you as like Grammy Award winning Pulitzer Prize musician Kendrick Lamar. And then in the same breath, you're screaming me versus Canelo is the biggest fight in all boxing. If it was truly the biggest fight in all boxing, you would think that the UFC graphics crew in the truck or van or whatnot would at least know who he was and get his name right. I truly believe if Gervonta Davis went to the UFC sphere, it would say Gervonta Davis, and there would be no mistakes or mistaken identity. They're not going to be like, oh, Terrence Howard, I was just playing with you, man. You know what I mean? It's going to be like, oh, this is Gervonta Davis. If Canelo went to the sphere, they would put Saul Canelo Alvarez with no mess-ups, no mistakes. So it shows what I've always told you, Bud a great fighter, but he's encroaching 37. He'll be 37 sometime this month. And he just hasn't turned over to true star power. And if I was wrong, then y'all would be able to prove me wrong. But I know you can't. If he was truly as big of a star, and I'm not saying nobody knows him, right? Because he has pictures with Jay-Z and stuff like that. But that's like the hip hop culture. But I'm saying a crossover star to the point where, like, let's say when Floyd fought Conor McGregor, make no mistakes about it, your mom that doesn't even watch combat sports would know who Conor McGregor is, right? Your extended family who doesn't watch boxing or combat sports, they would know who Manny Pacquiao is. Crawford has never ascended. He's never had that type of ascension to that type of household name where it's really transcended his immediate sport. And if I'm wrong, then explain why they misidentified him last night in an event produced by Riyadh Season. And clearly Crawford has a great relationship with Riyadh Season and Turki Al-Sheikh, and they couldn't even get his name right. So no, I don't think Canelo versus Crawford makes sense. No, I don't think the Canelo versus Crawford fight is the biggest fight in boxing. Again, based solely on the Kendrick Lamar point, how is it the biggest fight in boxing if the UFC down the street doesn't even know who you are, right? Boxing is a niche sport. There's about, I want to say, and I've been in this game for so long, you could try to prove me wrong. I have the stats. I have the data. There's probably roughly 250 to 350,000 absolute diehard boxing fans, watch everything, know detailed things that are going on in the sport of boxing, chronological order, who fought who, you know, Caleb Plant, Trevor McCumbee. They would know that Trevor McCumbee was previously signed with Top Rank and Pop Dirty, right? Because he wasn't like a huge name. I'm talking about detailed stuff like that, right? There's only a handful of people that are that like expert in the sport of boxing. To get the massive fights like Pacquiao Mayweather versus Canelo, Mayweather versus De La Hoya, Mayweather versus Conor McGregor, Mike Tyson, Lennox Lewis, it requires the proper combination where you have typically two guys that are relevant and they're colliding, and the public knows fighter A, they know fighter B, and it transcends the immediate sport. Like, I'm pretty sure back in the day in the 90s when Mike Tyson fought Lennox Lewis, you had people who didn't watch every single Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward fight on HBO, but they probably would have geared up for that because it was a massive event that people wanted to see. And these guys had worked their way through the heavyweight division, and you knew both parties, and they had a great buildup. Mike Tyson swinging on Lennox Lewis at the presser or weigh-in or whatnot, things like that. Terence Crawford doesn't really deliver that. He delivers a good workmanlike performance, and he's a great fighter, skilled fighter, but people are trying to make him into a star, and I just don't see it like that. And again, like, for example, if I'm wrong, which I know I'm not, then prove this wrong. Tell me that you truly believe, and it's not going to come across as fake or contrived, that Terence Crawford can do a buildup that's more intense than Berlanga and Caleb Plant. Because Caleb Plant and Canelo, they were slapping each other, talking trash, said you call me a mofo. It was just a great buildup. Terence Crawford, if he even tried that, I don't think that's his real personality. So it would come across as like fake, like WWE or WCW. It would be theatrical because for most of your career, no matter who you were fighting, you weren't known as like this immense trash talker or a guy who's going to put on a show. Berlanga's been talking and confident and been talking crazy or talking that NYC talk. You know what I mean? Well before he got in there with Canelo. That's just his swag. That's how he acts. But I feel like it would become something that even if he got the Canelo fight and he tried to do that, it would just look forced for Crawford to be doing that at age 37. Like, so you're pushing 40 and you never have really been known for that. And then now you're going to do that now, you know, against the Canelo. I just highly doubt it. So it's not the biggest fight in boxing. It's not even a fight that makes sense. How could the biggest fight in boxing be one that the business is questionable? Like, yes, it could make some money, but Canelo can make money with a lot of guys because he's Canelo Alvarez. He could rematch Bivol and there's money there. You see what I'm saying? That's what happens when you're in the face of boxing. So I'm not saying that I'm not disrespecting Crawford saying nobody knows him, but I'm saying he doesn't have the level of pull that I believe him and his team think he has, to the point where it would be this colossal event that to the likes of which Canelo has never seen or couldn't get with other guys. And just because you ran behind Turkey and he's waving money around, it doesn't mean the fight's going to get done. Canelo already told Turkey and Terence Crawford, I'm not really interested because the fight does nothing for me, him being a smaller guy. And even if we did entertain it, it's on my watch. Everything has to be in line with our direction. I'm Canelo. I'm the star. I got the fan base. And Canelo, whether you like him or not, he's proven that. He just did $20,000 fans versus Berlanga. The fight that people said they didn't want to see, he just did 20,000, right? You have Terence Crawford who fought Madrimov. When he's fighting an unknown Eddie Hearn fighter, the fight flops. The fight flops and loses over $10 million versus Canelo is fighting an unknown Eddie Hearn fighter in Berlanga, and he has a sellout crowd in Vegas and his fans are turning up. That's the difference. So a lot of you guys want to type about it, but you don't want to talk about it. You want to type these things because it's comfort food to you. So you think if I say it enough times, maybe people believe it, but that's not how it works. Crawford has more support in comment sections than he does actually paying for his events and like, yo, I'm buying this pay-per-view. If the amount of people that were in Crawford's, like in the comment section for Crawford videos, the Bud Buddies, you know, saying all this stuff, oh, Canelo's scared and stuff. If you had that same vigor and energy, then it would seem that Crawford's events would be double platinum. He would do these crazy numbers, but it just shows me that it's not true support. It's support for free on free platforms like YouTube or Twitter. That's where the Crawford fans reside. So again, we'll see how it plays out. We'll see if the fight actually happens. Canelo already spoke on it in the past and said it does nothing for me, which is exactly what I agree with. And I feel like Terence Crawford, his angle is, trust me, bro. Like, believe what I'm saying. Like, I don't have to show you that I'm a big star and a household name. I don't have the stats ever going over 1 million with pay-per-view. I haven't done crazy live gates. Like, they're doing all these Eminem pop-out concerts and Mom Spaghetti. His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms is heavy, there's vomit on his sweater already. Mom Spaghetti. They're doing all these things with Riyadh season, throwing ish on the wall, spending money, wasting money, and hoping for something to click and stick. But I'm not really seeing it. Like, you did all this Sphere stuff, it had a lot of hype. The fights weren't even really that great. There's no one that could tell me that was the best UFC card you have ever seen. there's UFC cards where they kept it simple and it was in the T-Mobile Arena in Vegas or in Madison Square Garden in New York, and the fights delivered. They were far better cards, and they didn't have all this glamour and glitz and Sphere and IMAX theaters and drones. Like that's not making the event. The female fight, Shevchenko or whatever, that was boring. It was dull. O'Malley, Merab, it was mid. Like it was a bunch of wrestling. And then you took a rainbow-haired guy who at least does podcasts and talks and stuff and is known as a knockout artist in Sean O'Malley, and then you got him beat against a wrestling style that is going to be less desirable a sell as a superstar. So it's looking like the Riyadh season, the turkey curse, because Sean O'Malley is probably the guy the UFC would have preferred to have won, as opposed to a guy from a Georgian Russian wrestler who I don't even know if he really speaks English much, and he's not going to sell the show the same way as a Sean O'Malley. He doesn't have the loud hair dye and stuff like that. So same thing with Crawford Madrimov. You got Eminem performing and walking billboards with LED lights and pyrotechnics and all this stuff to try to make it look like Crawford is this massive draw. Versus you look at Canelo, he's fighting a guy that isn't Benavidez, that people said, oh, I don't want to see him fight that guy. And yet and still, Canelo is selling out. And for me, this represents better business. It's better business based on the fact that you didn't have to input so much money and be at such a deficit on production costs to the point where you start this thing and you're 25 plus million in the hole because you got this elaborate Sphere scheme and new technology. You need drones, you need gaffers, and camera crew has to do certain things and building the octagon. You know, you got all these production costs. And then there's a military acronym. It's called KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Canelo and Berlanga. Boxing has been around for hundreds of years. They kept it simple. You have a big, younger Berlanga. He did some trash talk. He did his part to promote. You put it in a basic Vegas Strip venue, and Canelo has a fan base. You put Canelo in a region where there's Latinos and Mexicans that live there or are willing to travel from California and Arizona or New York or wherever they're coming from to go attend. And then you have people running to the Canelo weigh-in. They literally were running. The crowd looks bonkers, and it didn't require Eminem concerts and Sphere. So to me, it just goes without saying. And then now I think Crawford has this partnership with Turkey. He thinks this is enough to get the Canelo fight done. We'll see. You know, ultimately we'll see. Let me know what you guys think. But people, as far as people trying to change my opinion, I've already spoke on it, why I feel this way. You're not going to change my opinion unless you enlighten me, which I know you can't do. Church.